we learned in the first part of our lesson how agriculture is important to India. Now, if agriculture is important to India, it should be made sure that the production, agricultural production of our country is good enough. The agricultural production of our country is good enough. But it is said that the productivity, the agricultural production is not good as expected. Of course, it is good enough. In whatever is necessary for the people is grown. There is enough for sale in the market, but still it is not important. It is not enough because our country depends much on agriculture for its growth. And there are about 2/3 of our people, 54% of our people depending on agriculture for their livelihood. So, anything and everything should be done to make or to get maximum production. It should be as good as it can be. A few reasons are given on page 42. That is, because of the continuous use of land, the same farming methods being practiced, and hence, and also the over-dependence of farmers on nature for getting water, for restoring the soil fertility, etc. The land is unable to give back the desired result. So, and also, most of the farmers are poor farmers, so they are not able to invest much to improve their productivity on their own. So for that, if agriculture is to be improved, production is to be increased, and remember there is a steady growth of population, so food is to be given to all these people. So for all that, it is necessary that something is being done. For that purpose, changes are being brought into this agricultural sector, both as technological and institutional reforms. Technological reforms means making farmers aware or making possible the better farming techniques are available to the farmers. They are ready, they know, and they are ready to use them in their farms. The next is the institutional reforms, which includes the schemes and the policies introduced by the government to help these farmers to improve agriculture. First is the introduction of collectivization and consolidation of land holdings by the government. Collectivization and consolidation. Collectivization and consolidation. Collectivization and consolidation of land holdings. What do you mean by collectivization? Collectivization, because of existence of inheritance law. Because of the existence of inheritance law, farmers owned small farms which could not be effectively cultivated. The farm size is small, so they are unable to bring in modern methods of farming, maybe using of machinery, then effective methods of irrigation, etc. So for that, the government decided to encourage collective farming, for which consolidation of land holdings was a must. Collectivization, for which consolidation of land holdings was a must. The government decided to encourage collective farming, for which consolidation of land holdings was a must. That is, the farms were put together and worked upon as a large single unit, whereby effective irrigation methods can be utilized, investments can be shared, then machinery can be used. That is, they can in general depend on modern methods or modern inputs to earn maximum output. So that is collectivization and consolidation. Working together, putting all their small farms together as a single unit and depending more on modern inputs to get maximum output. The second one is the abolition of zamindari system. The zamindari system we have learned in the lower classes, that is the collection of taxes by the landlords. They used to levy higher taxes. They used to levy higher taxes and they were made it sure that they collected forcefully if needed from the farmers. If they are unable to give them these taxes, they would take away the land. So when this phenomenon of zamindari system was abolished, the farmers were at risk. Now there is nobody to come and ask for higher taxes from them, and there is nobody to take away their land if they are unable to pay. The third one is the government introduced Grameen banks and cooperative societies to help farmers get loans at low rates. In the beginning itself, I said all our farmers are not very rich farmers. There are small and marginal farmers who cannot afford to spend much on agriculture. So if the government introduces these cooperative societies and Grameen banks, they can go there and avail loans at low interest rate. And once their crop is good, at the end of the harvest, when the crop is good, they can repay back their loans. The next is the crop insurance. The crop insurance was introduced to help the farmers during crop failures. Then the issue of Kisan credit cards, by which the farmers were able to get all government benefits granted to farmers. The Kisan credit cards. The Kisan credit cards was introduced to ensure availability of all government benefits to all farmers. Then we have learned the green revolution and the white revolution. These can be marked as the technological reforms, green revolution and the white revolution. It did not see the desired results. Why? Because it was only concentrated in certain or selected areas of our country. So all farmers distributed all over the country did not benefit of this particular technological reform, the introduction of the green revolution and the white revolution. The government also helped farmers by introducing minimum support prices. This support prices was announced at the time of the sowing itself, assuming that the farmer will get the best quality, the highest quantity of yield. This was introduced to avoid the farmers from being exploited by middlemen, to avoid exploitation. MSP or minimum support prices was announced by the government to avoid exploitation of farmers by middlemen. Exploitation of farmers by middlemen. Then the government also took measures to provide special weather bulletins and agricultural programs. And these were broadcasted over TV or radio so that the farmers knew about the weather. So by which they could decide upon what kind of cropping, how it can be cultivated, etc. What are the measures they can take to get a better productivity? So to a certain extent, with all these encouraging factors, agricultural productivity increased. Once again, to sum up, what are the technology? So to improve agricultural productivity, technological and institutional reforms were introduced. Technological was the technical know-how, the modern methods of farming. The other was the encouragement given by the government to the farmers. What were they? The first one was collectivization and consolidation of land holdings. The small farms were brought together, cultivated as a single large unit, and when they are brought together, they collectively did farming by consolidating, bringing together their farms. The second one was the abolition of zemindari system. I told you the abolition of zemindari system. That is helping the farmers to get rid of eviction by the landlords. So that system was totally stopped. Then the next one was the introduction of the Grameen banks and cooperative societies. Then came what? Then what was the next one I said? The crop insurance. The crop insurance, introduction of crop insurance. Along with that, what else was also done? Issue of Kisan credit cards. The KCC, the Kisan credit cards were also issued. Then I said the announcing of minimum support prices. And then lastly, what was done? Radio programs, television programs on weather and agricultural programs along with weather bulletins. Agricultural programs along with weather bulletins were introduced to help farmers to know about the weather and what they needed to decide upon agricultural practices in the area. The next is the contribution of agriculture to national economy. Agriculture and economy of our country. Agriculture and economy of our country. Contribution of agriculture to the national economy, employment and output. So, we had learned that agriculture is important to our country. So, we can say that it acts as the backbone of Indian economy. It acts as the backbone of Indian economy. So its share to our gross domestic product, its share to our national income should be good. And we also learned that about 52% or 2/3 of our population is engaged in agricultural activities or in this sector, agricultural sector. And we also saw the governmental help or the support by the government to the farmers to improve their agriculture. With all this in place, still our agricultural production or agricultural sector has not improved as expected. Agricultural sector has not improved as expected. What are the reasons for its declining share, its contribution to the national income or GDP? So, it adds to the national income. It adds to the national income. But its share in the recent years is declining. With all these support given by the government. So what can be the reasons for its declining share to the GDP? What do you mean by GDP? GDP is the gross domestic product. GDP is gross domestic product. And what is the gross domestic product? Gross domestic product is the total value of all what is produced in agriculture during a particular year. The total value of agricultural production. Total value of agricultural production in a particular year is called gross domestic product. With many number of people engaged in agriculture, with all modern inputs used, help given by the government, still its share to the national income is decreasing. One reason is it is unable to generate employment opportunities. We said it is unable to generate employment opportunities. Once again, I remind you, we had learned right from the beginning that 2/3, a majority of our people is engaged in agriculture. Majority of our people is engaged in agriculture. But still it says that it is unable to generate jobs. Unable to generate jobs. What can be the reason? We'll go back to what we learned in economics in class 9 in the first lesson, where we learned about unemployment. What was that? The different kinds of unemployment. One was disguised unemployment. In agriculture, there exist two different situations of unemployment. One is the disguised unemployment. One is the disguised unemployment and the other is the seasonal unemployment. Disguised unemployment and seasonal unemployment. So, in agriculture, there exist two kinds of unemployment, disguised unemployment. What is disguised unemployment? Disguised unemployment means more than what is necessary is used. That is, there are more laborers working on the farms than needed. If a few of them are taken away from there, nothing is going to happen to the work being done on the farm. So, the extra workers are not being utilized to their maximum. Their potentials are not, their abilities are not being used. So, even though it appears as though many are employed, but not. What do you mean by disguise? It appears many are employed, but not. Why but not? Because all of them who are engaged there in the farm is not working to their fullest. The second is the seasonal unemployment. In agriculture, not throughout the year there will be farming activities. For some months of the year, there will be no activity in agricultural sector. So during those months, the people have no jobs. That is why it is said agriculture promotes seasonal unemployment. So these two situations being present in agricultural sector, it is unable to generate jobs. The next is the rapid development of tertiary, the rapid development of tertiary and the secondary sector. The tertiary and the secondary sector. Now, what do you mean by tertiary sector? The service providing sector, the secondary sector, the industrial sector. So, these two sectors have developed quicker in a better way than the agriculture sector. The tertiary sector, because what can be the reason for this quick development or rapid, steady, fast development of these two sectors? Because now the people are asking for comforts and a variety of products. So both these sectors will have to act accordingly and they'll find ways to improve these sectors. Service sectors like now we have banks, the internet sectors, then the insurance people, etc., etc., isn't it? And the cable operators, the other one in the secondary sector, many more industries, auxiliary industries are coming up, isn't it? Why? Because they need work to be completed quickly. So they go for small units where parts of many things will be made and then that will be assembled together in another unit. So the steady development or the rapid development of tertiary and secondary sector. The third is the public investment is not good enough. What do you mean by public investment? Not by the people. Public investment means the financial support given by the government to the farmers. The financial support given by the government to these farmers. So like giving subsidies on fertilizers, giving subsidies on different seeds they need. So if they give these farmers at a lower cost, they will be able to bring down their cost of production, and hence they can sell it at a better prices in the outside markets. So if public investment is not very encouraging, what happens? The cost of production increases. Thus farmers are unable to sell their prices at better prices. So hence, if we think about all this together, what happens? The farmers will find it difficult to continue with agriculture. And hence, they withdraw their investment from agriculture. Hence, they withdraw their investment from agriculture. Fewer people are now still there in agriculture. They have come off from, they withdraw their investment from agriculture. So what happens when we had learned largest livelihood provider. So now job opportunities have declined. The share to its GDP of the country has declined. So when this happens, what will be affected much? All other spheres of the society will be affected. The living standards will be affected. The saving mode will be affected. All that will be affected. So what happens? The economic and social growth of our country will also be affected. In total, the social and economic growth of our country will be affected. When what happens? When the agriculture sector is not improving as it should, and which results in a decline of its share to the national income or GDP, which will be seen affecting all the other spheres of the economy. Is it clear? Yes. The next one is food security. The next topic is food security. The next is food security. With efforts of both government and farmers, our agricultural production has improved much, and we have almost reached self-sufficiency in food grain production. Now, it's the responsibility of the government to make sure that these food grains are provided to all people at affordable prices. Also, there are areas which are prone to natural disasters, crop failures, or due to diseases that happen to the crops, etc. So these situations are also to be dealt with. For that, what did the government do? The government designed a national food security system. The government designed a national food security system, which consists of two components. Which are those two components? The first one is the buffer stock. The buffer stock. The first one is the buffer stock. What do you mean by buffer stock? It is a reserve stock. A reserve stock of food grains. It is a reserve stock of food grains. A reserve stock of food grains, collected from areas of surplus production. Collected from areas of surplus production at minimum support prices announced by the government. These reserve stock are got how? By the government collecting surplus production from those areas at minimum support prices. At minimum support prices. And where do they keep it? And they store it in government godowns, the FCI, the government godowns. They store it in government godowns. They store it in government godowns to be used at times of difficulties and even otherwise. The second one is this stock is distributed to the poor and the needy through fair shops. It is given to the poor and the needy through fair shops. The other ration shops we hear about. At low cost, which is called public distribution system. This is called as public distribution system. So, the public distribution system, that is distribution of these food grains kept as buffer stock through fair shops to the poor and needy. It is not just during the time of difficulties or need, even during when and even otherwise this is being made use of. So we saw that the government had designed a food security system to make use of the surplus production from where it could be done and got, so that it could be made available to those people who have not got, for some reasons their crop has failed or they were unable to get a good production or good harvest. Then what is done? Through food security system, keeping a reserve stock by collecting the surplus production, storing it in government godowns called as buffer stock. What does the government do? The government distributes this through their fair shops. The government distributes this through their fair shops to the poor and the needy whenever necessary. But we cannot be so sure that food security exists for always. As now the reasons why you cannot be sure that food security exists always. There will be food grains enough in government stock to be supplied. What can be the reasons? The population growth is too much. The net sown area is getting decreased. What do you mean by net sown area? Net sown area is the land under the total land area under cultivation. Then the farmers are going for high value crops instead of food grains like fruits and vegetables, which is easier to cultivate and quicker to get a harvest, and they are in high demand in the markets and they can sell it at higher prices. Then, also, the quality of the soil is decreasing. The quality of soil is decreasing. Why? Continuous use of pesticides, continuous use of chemical fertilizers, etc. is decreasing the natural fertility of the soil. Then, signs of land degradation due to inefficient water management and inadequate storage and market facilities. Once again, so food security was a very talked about policy or scheme by the government. But the same could not reach to all and always. As expected, it did not give the desired result. What were the reasons? The first one was population growth. What was the second one? For after population growth, what did I say? Net sown area getting reduced. Net sown area reduced. Then what was the third one? Farmers going for high value crops. Then soil degradation and land degradation. Soil degradation, land degradation. Then what was the other one? Yes, inefficient or inadequate storage and market facility. No storage facility, no storage facility. And markets were not good. Yes, markets were not good. So, food security includes two components, buffer stock and public distribution stock, public distribution system. Buffer stock is the reserve stock. Public distribution system means distributing this through fair shops. And what are these? They are the factors that did not give the desired results of this food security. Because of population growth, whatever was stored was not enough for all. Then the land under cultivation became less and less. Then soil got degraded, the land got degraded, storage facilities and market facilities were inadequate. These same reasons or these same factors also contributes to the backwardness of Indian agriculture. Because of these factors, agriculture has not improved, the backwardness of agriculture. Or you can say these are the limitations of Indian agriculture. These are the limitations of Indian agriculture.